All right, let's tell the founding story, I guess. I'll start with Evan, since I've known him the longest. So Evan and I go way back. We've been, I'm going to say borderline best friends since I was 8.
It's a strong word for it.
I don't like saying it in front of him. Best friends since we were 7 or 8, grew up together. And when I was about 25, broke living at my parents' basement with my fiance looking for jobs in New York, Evan was telling me about a really cool company he was working at in the city. Ended up getting me an interview there where I interviewed with Bryan, who had been there for, how many years were you at that company?
So I was there for just about 11 years from inception through actually the IPO in 2017.
Too long?
Never say too long. It was a great experience.
Yes.
I got to meet these two guys while working.
Loved it there.
While working there, and so I'll let you kind of jump back in. But
so Bryan, I interviewed with Bryan, thought I did pretty well, and my dad had actually gotten me a job. I was bar mitzvah tutoring, which is a blast. And I'm in the middle of this bar mitzvah tutoring session, and I get a call from Bryan, basically telling me I got this job. Quit on the spot. Walked out. It was wonderful. And then from there, I ended up working at this company for about 2 years with Evan and Bryan.
After I referred Avi, Bryan was like one of the head honchos at this place, and I'm just like a lonely little guy there. And Bryan walks over to my section, all scary looking. He goes, "Which one of you's Evan?" I was scared. I was like slowly raising my hand, and he said, "Avi's getting the job. You owe him dinner." I said, "I owe him dinner."
well, to be fair, I think Evan made $2,500 for the referral, so I figured it'd be nice for him to take his friend out to dinner on that bonus. But I don't think that ever happened.
Well, he was making more than I was. So.
He still doesn't buy me anything. And we spent 2 years, basically, the three of us all working together at a great company, learning a ton from those founders. And I kind of always had this mindset of, I knew I wanted to do something next. I wanted to be a founder. I wanted to build something. And after about 2 years, I had an opportunity to kind of walk away. I had spent a lot of time in hospitality, grew up in restaurants, loving restaurants, worked at a pizzeria in Long Island, one of the best pizzerias in Long Island, which means it's top 5 in New York, still order from there. And so I knew I wanted to be in hospitality. And when I had a chance to walk away from this company, Bryan, true to his word, had told me, "Hey, if you ever go start something, I'll be the first check-in." We won't go into all the details surrounding that check, but I got the money. Spent about 1.5 years kind of figuring out what it is we were doing in the hospitality space. And I knew I wanted to take an approach where we were going to, and it's cheesy, but kind of democratize the tech stack, make it more accessible to your SMBs, your mid-markets. You shouldn't have to be McDonald's to leverage your tech stack the right way. And after about 18 months of kind of floundering with this idea, I snuck in and got into this accelerator program and finally had money to try and convince Evan to make 90% less than what he was making and come do this accelerator program with me.
I mean, his accelerator office is around the corner from my office, so he bothered me every single day trying to get me to do this thing. And I had always wanted to start a company and do it, and Avi already had a great idea rolling. And even though we're best friends, we've known each other for so long, our personalities mesh so well together, and we work so well together. And I know sometimes that could be hard to work with close friends, and it's actually worked out really well.
It's amazing.
So yeah,
Evan
I
wants
dove in.
Nothing to do with what I do, and I want nothing to do with what Evan does. It's a perfect mix.
So I dove into it, and then about 1 year and change later, this guy.
We backtrack a little bit. Avi, when he started working with me, this must have been 2015, 2014.
2015.
Yeah,
January 15th, 2015. Not that I know.
Younger guy, excited about his new opportunity, his new career, came in and he told me from like day one, future goal of mine, I'm going to start my own company. Now, I've heard that from many people I've worked with over the years, and you don't always believe it. But I said, look, as he said, you kick ass here, you do a good job. Depending on what the idea is, if I like it, I'll be your first check, as he had said. And so 2 years later, resigned in the best way possible, walked in with one of his largest deals he ever closed and said, this is going to be the last deal. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm starting. And so that's what initially kicked off Marqii. I actually, when I first joined, wasn't, my role in the organization was a board member and an advisor, just trying to help him figure things out. Was part of the conversation and helping, bring Evan and convincing him to make less money.
Which I didn't know.
And what this role was going to be. And then, look, life has its twists and turns. I had a couple roles after that company where we all worked together. Unfortunately, the pandemic hit and the role that I was at was eliminated.
Lucky for us, though.
Well, lucky for you guys. And so mid-2020, like anyone, mid-pandemic, why not join a hospitality tech startup? And so that's my story, how he became a part of this.
I'll say Bryan had impact before he even officially started working with us. When I approached him to tell him I was leaving this company, our name was Marqii, M-A-R-Q-Y. It was supposed to be pronounced Marqii, and he said to me, I'll write you the check, but you have to change the spelling from M-A-R-Q-Y to like the Nintendo Wii, M-A-R-Q-I-I. For $25,000, I would have done so much more. So I got off easy. And so, it's been a big impact since. And I think, as we've kind of grown over the last few years, you hear about all these stories from other companies, other founders. I'm very, very lucky that as I grew Marqii and I brought on Evan and then Todd as our first employee and then Bryan joined us, we have got very good people here. Everyone's bringing different skill sets, different point of views. I think there's somehow an underlying level of respect that a lot of other founders don't have for each other. So for me to have a work wife like Evan and a work friend like Bryan, I feel very, very lucky.
Yeah, we've definitely gotten really lucky, not just with the founders, like with the other employees here. I know he mentioned Todd, and I'm looking at Maddie and John and Ashley and Allie and Helen and Katrina's here. A bunch of people are here. Kelsey's here, of course. We've been very lucky with how we've been able to grow this team, and sometimes it's hard to sit back and reflect on it, and it's pretty incredible what we've
just
done.
Thank God we all watched The Office and My Cousin Vinny, because otherwise I don't know what we would talk about.
With all the employees, I don't think we could have done what we've done so far without them. So it's been
without the team, this doesn't become what it has become and what we know it will become over the coming years.
Right.
So that's us.
That's kind of
it. Do we miss anything?
I think that covers the beginnings.
Founding story.